This video is going to be on how to repair a vintage lock on a sewing machine treadle. Uh, these are generally froze up, and a lot of people's kind of interested in getting these old locks to working again on these cabinets. These locks was generally, the general purpose for these was for keeping kids out of the sewing materials and the needles and pins and stuff. So I'm going to show you how to fix one of these. There's going to be a part 1 and a part 2. This is going to be part 1 of it. Um, this is where we getting started with it. So what we did was we took the old hand drill and chucked it up and put a small bit in it. And one of these little screw heads was all messed up and we couldn't get a screwdriver on it, so we had to drill it off. Now, if you want to know how small one of these is, here's how small one is if you've never seen one before. They're super small. These things is itty bitty. You could probably lay one of these on a dime, it's so small. But there's not much head on it, so if you give it one too many turns or slip with a screwdriver, you're not going to be able to ever use the screw again, and you'll have to do what I did. But this one was already, somebody had already broke this one off years ago, and so we're just going back in and drilling it out. All you're going to do is drill the head of it off. We'll come back in and work on pulling the rest of the screw out. But this one came out and that one didn't. But now if your screws is really rusty and they take the threads out with them, if they rust to the wood, it will take the threads out and you'll have to rethread these holes and get another screw to go in. Or you can clean the old ones if they're not too rusty. You can soak them in some salt and vinegar solution and let it eat it off. But the threads are still good in these. But if the threads does go bad, you'll have to take and make little bitty dowels and pin these holes back with small pieces of oak. The biggest trick is taking an oak limb and shaving it down off of an oak tree, plugging these holes, and then re-drilling and tapping them for new screws. But I believe we're going to be able to salvage this one and get it back. But the piece fits in pretty good, but it's pretty bad rusted. And you can see the front of the lock here. And then this is going to be the back of the lock. So we're going to have to soak this in a rust removal solution. I make my own out of salt and vinegar, and set and soak that, and get this unstuck. But if you can see, the keyhole is just a slot. There's no actual key design. It's just a slot, just a perfect slot. So the trick to making a key for one of these is what you're going to do is get you a big old nail that's going to be larger than the slot. And what you're going to have to do is grind this tip off right here and make a blunt square end. You'll have to hammer forge the sides flat. Then you'll grind the the arches in the top and the bottom to make a key that'll fit this. That's going to be my next project, is making a key. And then once we make a key, then we can make our own key top to go on it. But that's how we're going to solve this issue and get this old lock back to working. We're going to let some acid do our dirty work for us and let the acid eat all this rust off, and that way we won't have to do no scrubbing. It'll soften it all up and it'll all fall off, and then the little lock mechanism will start working again, and we'll put it back in and oil it and put new screws on it. And the same key that fits this will also fit these little drawers here that's got the little locks here. The same little key will go in here and lock that. So if you got the 3-drawer cabinet, you'll have the little lock holes down here for your cabinets, and there'll be one for each one. So that key will not only solve this problem, but it'll solve the problem to the rest of the drawers. And that's how we'll get this machine, this cabinet, back to working. And once we get all this cleaned up, we'll put new velvet in this one. Originally there was a velvet that went in the bottom of this tray that was a liner. Now this is where your box of attachments would go, is in this top drawer here. And this would be your sewing needles and pins would go in here. But we're going to reline that, fix all this up, get all this cleaned back up, and get the lock working again. But that's the trick to fixing one of these. And fixing it to where it'll work. So if you got one and you're trying to figure it out, that's how you're going to want to solve fixing this lock.